So before we get started, we'd like to acknowledge the traditional lands. So Royal Roads University acknowledges that the campus is located on the traditional lands of the Kosepsum and Lekwungen ancestors and families. It's with great gratitude that we now learn and work here, where the past, present, and future of Indigenous and non-Indigenous students and faculty come together. We are here today to chat about graduate certificate in transforming child protection to well-being. My name is Selena Kunar, and I'm an education advisor here at Royal Roads University, and I'm going to help out in navigating today's conversation. I'm so excited to be here with Dr. Kathleen Manion, an associate professor and program head of this brand new certificate. Hi, Kathleen. Thanks for being here.
Thanks. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much, Selena, as always.
We also have some folks who you probably won't see via video, but you will definitely see in the chat box. So a big hello to Bev Hill and any of our other enrollment advisors who are online today who are going to help out in the chat box answering any questions. So you've heard a teeny bit about us, and we would love to learn a little bit more about all of you. So if you feel comfortable, feel free to pop into the chat box and let us know, where are you joining us from today? What brought you to our webinar? What are you interested in learning about today? This will help us get a sense of who's in the room and make sure that we're able to curate our content specifically to you. So while the introductions are coming in, I'll breeze through how we're going to move through our 1 hour-ish session today. So next we'll head into an overview of the Royal Roads University experience. Of course, touch on the program itself, cap off with a run through of our application and requirements, and then leave time for questions and conversations as well. So with that, let's get started. So why explore Royal Roads? Well, first, we have profs who know your name. Here at Royal Roads, our professors don't talk at you, they talk with you, peer to peer. We've maintained small class sizes to allow for a conversational way of teaching. Because everyone's path is personal, and when your professors are your peers, classes become think tanks and opportunities to learn and dive into other ways of knowing, seeing, and being. Here at Royal Roads, you'll quickly notice that learning is based on life. Your education doesn't just shape your experience, but it's your experiences that shape your education. Being a university for working professionals means that our students bring real world challenges from their workplace into the classrooms, and we solve them together. Royal Roads isn't a university where we parse out theory, hypothetical learning, and application. No, it's real world problem solving in real time. And you're doing that with some amazing people in your classrooms. And that's where we head into connections for life. So you are moving through this real world learning, real world problem solving, not only with your professors, who are what we call scholar practitioners. So folks who are not only academic experts in their field, but out in the world putting into practice what they teach in our classrooms, but also leaders and colleagues within your cohort itself. So here at Royal Roads, almost all of our programs subscribe to the cohort learning model. And that means you start your program with a group of individuals and you move through all the way to the end together. This cohort learning model allows us to combine people with unique backgrounds, perspectives, and experiences. So they'll complement and challenge your own. One of my favorite parts of my current role is that I am always connecting with alumni. And right off the bat, the first thing alumni love to share is, I'm still in contact with my cohort years later through Facebook groups, WhatsApp chats, groups get together for dinners in geographical areas. So these academic supports you build throughout your program blossom into beautiful professional and personal relationships that you have lifelong. And finally, We see life as a qualification. We'll talk about this a little bit more later in our webinar today when we touch on our admissions model. But here at Rural Roads, we don't simply look at the traditional requirements of education. We look beyond them and we look at something much more important, you and all of you. So we bring together your academic experiences with your personal and professional and every other experience that has helped make you who you are today. And again, we'll go through what that looks like in our application process a bit later on. And we like to think that we're built differently. Since day one, we've stood for something different. And it's a philosophy that's reflected in our physical location, which is a national heritage site, but also in the blended learning model that we pioneered. We believe that an exceptional online environment shouldn't be contained to the walls of a physical location, that no matter where you are in life or where you are in the world, you should have access to life-changing education. So that's why here at Rural Roads University, we have programs that are fully on campus, fully online, and blended, where we bring together the best of both worlds. And we'll talk a little bit about what delivery model we're going to explore in this program. So this slide here is just a quick snapshot of our campus, from the buildings itself to some of our greenery. We're very fortunate to be right on Esquimalt Lagoon, and of course a photo there exemplifying our online learning as well. So with that, I will pass the microphone over to you, Kathleen, to tell us a bit more about the program.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Selena, for that beautiful opening and description of Royal Roads University. And I think you summarized it very well. About one of the reasons I love to work here is because of those different components and how they come together to have a different kind of academic experience. So my name is Kathleen Manion. I am based in the School of Humanitarian Studies and have been working with the university for about 8 years. My background and passion is in working with children and young people and building supports that help them to thrive. So I've done that within policy, within practice, and within research and academia. And I am so excited to introduce this new program to Royal Roads University that is looking at transforming child protection to well-being. The purpose of this program is really to bring together a group of people to explore the ways we can do exactly that. Look at the systems that we currently have across disparate areas, across health and education and child protection, and explore how we can build systems that are more aligned to supporting children's well-being rather than just protection. So that's what this program is really about. Selena, if you could give me the next slide, that'd be great. Perfect. So in this exploration within the program, we're drawing on a couple of different things, but really what's exciting to me about this program is that it dares to imagine a different set of systems that recognize children's well-being. And we do that by first building on and exploring strength-based practice, also taking what is useful and good about outcomes-based concepts of child well-being and embedding that into our dialogue about how can we, wherever we are within Canada, within Indigenous communities, within the global South, within the global North, to really look at how can we foster child well-being. And in that exploration, we're looking at some of the critical perspectives on child protection, understanding the systems that we have in place now, but also looking at what are some of the child and family focused programming that we have in different locations, and what can we learn from them, what can we augment, what can we do away with that isn't really helping children and their families in their communities. In order to do that well, and given the background and expertise that we have within Royal Roads University, we want to look at that theoretical understanding of child protection, child development, child and family programming. unpack that, look at some of those theories, and understand how that intersects with the practical aspects. As Selena said earlier, it's not that we parse out theory and practice, but rather we're looking at the integrative whole of how can we look at the theory to better understand how our practice is working or not working. And we do that across, as I said, child protection, child and family welfare, child development, children's rights, looking at how children's rights help us and support us to better understand what we're doing and how we could do it better. We're also doing our utmost to ensure that we're drawing on international and local knowledge and capacities and really holding dialogue to find, again, what's working and what could be done better. And in order to do that, we want to ensure we're looking at a systems approach. So looking at things individually, sure, to better understand it, but then to also explore from a systems perspective, how are these different systems playing against each other, supporting each other, or actually being detrimental to one another. So again, looking towards how can we support systems that are helping children to thrive and really augmenting their well-being. Next slide, thanks. So one of the things that's exciting to me about this is we have a lot of expertise at Royal Roads University, academic expertise, theoretical and policy understanding. And I myself have worked in as a practitioner, as an academic, as a policy advisor, and actually as a researcher. But this program was developed in partnership with two other key organizations who are grounded in real world experience and practice. So the International Institute of Child Rights and Development is a Canadian-based organization, but it works all around the world, and it has a lot of expertise, particularly in child and youth participatory methods and research and finding ways to really support child rights and development. And Child Frontiers, which is a Thai-based organization with a chapter here in Canada as well, but it has a lot of expertise in working more at the systems level, looking at policy and how policies are impacting local practices, again, all over the world. So collectively, across these three institutions, we have a lot of expertise, experience, and real live case examples that we can draw on from every continent, save Antarctica. Next slide, please. So in building this new program, we wanted to make sure we were integrating those elements of theoretical and practical. And we thought the best way to do that was to build on the UNESCO's Learning Outcomes Framework. So we've done that. So following their guidelines, learning to know, we're looking at the theoretical concepts and knowledge behind child well-being, child development, and child protection as well. In learning to do, we're exploring how do you actually bring in appropriate, effective, and transformative research and effective communication practices to work with children, young people, their families, and their communities to explore ways to bring child well-being to its best possible place. Knowing that you are coming here, we also want to build on the knowledge and expertise that we have at Royal Roads University to really focus on who you are. So we do spend time thinking about your own self-awareness, who you are, how you navigate conflict, how you work with others. So to do that, we ask you to be quite introspective, to think about your gifts and how you can manifest them to support your work with child well-being. In doing that, we also like to look at learning to live together. How are we looking at collaborative leadership? How are we working across cultures? How are we understanding and leveraging the idea that we are all interdependent, not only with each other, but within the planet we're actually situated on? And from there, again, building out a system a little bit further, drawing on ourselves within society, within systems, to understand systems thinking, to understand how we can draw on and further inquiry, how we can frame issues differently, in order to better look at creative and transformative practices that will support the work we're doing wherever we are. And we do that in community with a cohort of people working on similar problems in different contexts. So as much as you learn from your instructors, you will also learn from each other and the different work that you're doing in different parts of the planet. Next slide, please. So this is a graduate certificate. So it's just 3 courses, 3 core courses, plus 2 additional non-credit courses that are just there to help you succeed in the program. So I'm going to start at actually the bottom of the page here of the 2 non-credit courses. You will, coming into the program, do an introduction to academic integrity, just to support you to understand the expectations that we have within Royal Roads University for doing graduate work, and to support you to ensure you have academic success. And Foundations for Success also is a non-credit course, which introduces you to the learning, teaching and research model that we have at Royal Roads University that does focus on community-based learning and team-based learning, but also to introduce you to each other, to build that cohort so that you can move together in a good way through the program. Though the program itself is 3 core courses, as I said, over 9 months. The first one looks at foundations. And in this course, you're really starting to grapple with some of the theoretical underpinnings of child well-being, child protection, and explore them within a set of complex global realities, whether or not you're working in rural Canada, or you're working in the Arctic, or you're working somewhere in Namibia. Really understanding the theoretical frameworks that have influenced the systems that are supporting or not supporting children in your local context. So understanding some of the core thinking behind concept of child protection, the concept of child well-being, concept of child rights, what that looks like from a health perspective or a Indigenous perspective, or what that looks like from an education perspective, unpacking that to better understand the different realities of the work that you're doing. Really, that's focused on theory. The second course in the program looks to practice. How can you take those theories and bring them into practice, or how are they already brought into practice, and how can you better understand or better implement practice in a different way? So this one really takes case studies in different parts of the planet to understand, assess, and promote children's well-being. These 2 courses are both online. As you move into the third course, you're starting to get more pragmatic, more practical. And this one, you're focused on tools and approaches for change. So exploring the foundations that you laid in the first course, looking at the practice that we talked about in the second course, this third course really asks you to explore what are the different tools for actually building communities, or working with communities, working on research, working on policy adaptation to engage change-making processes with children, young people, their families, and their communities, and even at the national level. In this first year of offering, of course, we're still in COVID-19 pandemic in different parts of the world. Not quite sure what that looks like across the globe. So in thinking about this, we've decided to take this first offering and ensure that this is accessible to as many people as possible. So this first offering will be online. That will be in the spring of 2022. From there out, we're going to bring that into a blended process so that we're bringing students to Canada or possibly to other parts of the planet, depending on demand, for 2 weeks so that we can come together and build community further before we go out into the world and continue or begin new processes to support children and young people to have their best well-being. So we often get the question of who will this program benefit? We are really targeting people who have an interest, a keen interest in children and young people for obvious reasons. But this is really going to suit people who are already working within child protection, are working in child and family welfare programs or policies, or working with children's rights. It's going to appeal to a broad range of people who are working at the international level or the national level. Would also be interesting and useful for people working in statutory services within Canada or anywhere else in the world, really. Local NGO workers would be interested, certainly people working with the United Nations. Policy makers would have a lot to learn here as well. Could appeal to social workers, child rights advocates, frontline workers, government employees, teaching assistants, educators, researchers, and child and youth care workers. So a range of people who come together with a core interest in children and young people and their well-being. And I turn it back to Selena.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. That was a lot of information in a short amount of time and in such a digestible way. So thank you so much for sharing about this brand new program. This is a great time for folks to pop in the chat box any questions that may have been bubbling up for you. We have a few slides here where we're going to go through our admission requirements, the application process, and provide you with some helpful resources. But right after that, we'll get to a moment for question and conversations. So please start popping questions in the chat box. So to kick us off, we will chat about admissions. So here at Royal Roads, as I alluded to previously, we have various ways that we move through our admissions process. The first being standard admissions. So standard admissions is for those who have a 4-year or comparable undergraduate degree in a relevant or related field with a minimum GPA of a B+ from a recognized post-secondary institution, as well as at least 2 years of relevant work in some capacity with children, preferably at the leadership or management level. And a note here about a personal statement addressing how you consider your academic education to be relevant and related. We'll talk a little bit more about the personal statement in a few slides. So those are our standard admissions criteria. For those who heard about this program and thought, yes, this program is for me, I am for this program, but maybe you didn't satisfy fully the standard admission requirements. Well, this is why we have flexible admissions and where we really get to exemplify that at Royal Roads, we look beyond simply academic transcripts to learn much more about you. So flexible admissions, as you'll see, the slide is a little bit busy because there's lots of different ways you can come into this program through flexible admissions. So you can be considered for flexible admissions to the program under the following circumstances. If you meet the degree requirement, but not the GPA requirement, you'll then be required to have a minimum of 5 years of relevant professional experience. If you don't have an undergraduate degree, you'll normally require 10 years of work experience with a minimum of 2 years of relevant professional experience in a leadership or management position or equivalent combination of education and experiences. You'll need to explain in your personal statement how your work and professional experience meet these requirements. And to ensure we're setting you up for the best success in the program, you'll also be required to take academic writing and critical thinking before the program begins and obtain a minimum of a B+. The academic writing and critical thinking course is well loved on our campus. Many of our programs use this course to ensure that their students have what they need in the building blocks to begin their graduate learning. Because it's so well loved, I believe we have intakes every month, if not a few times a month. So if you have any questions about academic writing and critical thinking, please connect with our offices and we can always help you navigate those dates. Also, flexible admissions is assessed on a case-by-case basis. So if you have any questions about what flexible admissions could mean for you based on your background, please connect with us as we really enjoy learning more about you and your experience and understanding how it can be applied to the programs here at Royal Roads University. So we've talked a little bit about the requirements to apply for the program. And now we're going to do a quick breeze through of how to actually apply for the program. So that kicks off with an online application, as many things do these days. So our online application includes a fee of $126.28. Once your online application has been submitted and it has been um, approved by our offices, we then look for some supporting documents. So for this program, we look for official transcripts, personal statement, a structured resume, and 2 letters of reference. Our website is a wonderful resource for moving through what it looks like putting together these documents. So for example, we have some information around what should I include in my personal statement? We have guiding questions that can help you understand what we're looking for in your personal statement, what we're looking to learn about you. The structured resume, we have some guidelines around how you can place your information to make sure that all of your experiences shine bright. Then, of course, some practical information as well, such as page counts and how you can submit your transcripts, how you can submit your 2 letters of reference, who your 2 referees can be, and loads more information. So please, the website is a wonderful space, but again, we are always here to help you as you're moving through putting together these documents. So incoming intakes. We are just around the corner from our first start date of September 20th, 2021, putting the application deadline at August 20th, 2021. So that means if you're interested in our program, please get your online application in before August 20th, and we can work together to get your supporting documents submitted and approved. If you're looking a little further into the future, our next intake is September 26th, 2022, putting the application deadline at June 26th, 2022. In registering for this webinar, there were a lot of questions around financial aid. So we wanted to make sure we provided you with the website and direct phone lines of our financial aids and awards office. This office is staffed with specialists who have their fingertips on internal but also external resources to help you support financial planning as you look towards continued education. So our financial aid and awards specialist can support you in understanding loans, awards, research scholarships, and other types of funding as well. So if you have any questions about financial aid, please connect with our offices. We have their website here and their local and toll-free phone numbers as well. Enrollment services. So I should have noted every time I said connect with our offices. Yes, that means me. Yes, that means Kathleen, but mostly that means our wonderful team of enrollment services advisors. So we have Bev online with us today, who is here to answer any questions that came up. And she's a beautiful example of the team we have ready and eager to chat with you. So you can connect with Bev and her team at learn.more@royalroads.ca. And if you're joining us from outside of Canada, you can connect with our international admissions and registration team at learn.more.international@royalroads.ca. And with that, we have come to the end of the formal presentation of today's webinar. So what I'll do is I'll stop sharing my slides and ask Kathleen some of the common questions we get about this program. And again, this is a wonderful time to pop any questions that came up for you in our chat box. So Kathleen, one that comes up quite often is, what does the time commitment look like for this program? Can I be working at the same time?
Fantastic question. And I'm actually going to add another question that I often get onto that. So the time commitments are about, you could expect about 15 hours a week of your time to do each course. It is also useful to know that Royal Roads University has been doing online learning and is a special purpose university, is a public university, but it's a special purpose university that was built with the idea of working with working professionals. So all of its courses are geared towards keeping in mind the realities of work-life balance. So that's useful to note. And that was the second question, was really about online learning. What does that look like? Can you create community online? So again, Royal Roads is, as a university, has been functioning now 25 years. We're having our 25th anniversary this year. And since its inception, it has been doing online learning. So unlike a lot of universities who have been forced into the online space within the pandemic, we have a lot of experience and knowledge about delivering online learning, both about doing the balance of timing with family commitments and work commitments. And as I said, you should put aside at least 15 hours really to engage with the program. But also we have the experience of building community online. And I often get that in the first course of a program, with students saying, I was really, really anxious about starting a program online. And yet I can't believe how much we've been able to foster community in this space. It's a different kind of community than you would build in person, but it is also potentially really rich because you have more time to think about the way you engage in that online space. So hopefully that answers your question.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. The next most popular question was exactly that. What does online learning look like? What does evaluation look like in this program? Are there tests, group assignments? Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Absolutely. So we have really thought about how outcomes based. Let's start with that. We have a set of outcomes that the program as a whole is working towards. And as I had mentioned earlier, they're based on the UNESCO framework. And from there, the assessments are built to support students' progression through those learning outcomes in each program. We also believe in having multiple ways of assessing students. So we build that in. We often have multiple assessments, 3 to 5 different kinds of assessments, and they're iterative. So you're building your knowledge and experience as you work through a particular course, with the idea that you're getting feedback along the way so that you're improving as you move forward. We don't tend to have tests. It's not known to be a really effective way of learning, but rather finding ways to reflect on who you are as a person and what you bring to the field, but also thinking about applying theoretical components to practice and exploring them through case studies. So we will have a range of different ways of assessing you. They include essays, research papers, reflective papers, blog posts, keeping in mind the realities of working in contemporary society, all building towards demonstration of the learning outcomes in a given course and program.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Kathleen. Those cap off the questions that were submitted through our registration page. And I'm looking at the chat box, and I think we have come to a close on our session today.
Selena, can I just add one piece? Because another question that I get quite often is around the awards that are available, particularly for students who aren't based in Canada. And I have just received an email from our financial aid office, and they really wanted to emphasize that we have as Selena has put in the presentation, we have a financial aid office, and they will support you through this. And 97% of all of the awards that we do offer at Royal Roads are open to non-Canadian students. So I think that's useful to know. And the office emphasized that one of the first ones that you could apply for once you're in the program is an entrance award. There is one that's up to $10,000, two that are at $5,000, and four awards that are $2,000 each. And that's offered every quarter in the year. So it's useful to keep that in mind, that once you're in the program, you can apply for that already to support some of the financial barriers of a program like this.
Thanks, Kathleen. This is just one example of all the different departments that come together to support your individual journey here at Royal Roads. We had a great question from Bev come in. So a common question Bev gets from in her role in the enrollment office is, can this certificate be applied to a master's degree?
Absolutely. So that's a great question, and it depends on the master's degree that you're looking at. We at the university have a number that will take this on board, either partially, as in one or two courses within the program can be applied, and some programs will take the full certificate as part of their program. So some examples would be, we have a master's degree in interdisciplinary studies. We have, which I think would make a fascinating combination, but the Master's in Business Administration, the MBA, also allows for you to fully bring this in. Master's in Hotel and Tourism Management, but also some of the courses can be applied to the School of Humanitarian Studies and the Global Leadership programs, including the Conflict Analysis and Management program, the Disaster and Emergency Management program, Justice Studies program, and the Human Security and Peace Building program.
And one more question about the application of the courses. So can they be taken standalone as well? So through general studies, one course at a time?
Indeed, they can. So they have been added to our general studies list, and I think we even have someone who has already applied in that way. So yes.
Amazing. So highlighting the flexibility of this program as well. You can jump in it one course at a time. You can jump at it as a 9-month certificate, and you can also approach it as the platform for beginning a master's program as well. So that is really wonderful to understand. Thank you so much, Bev and Kathleen.
There's another question, or is it a comment really, in the chat function, just suggesting that somebody is interested in responding to violence against women and girls. This is certainly a topic that I am very passionate and interested in as well, and something that we would definitely bring up in the program. This person has suggested that they are being pulled away for other work commitments, but absolutely, we welcome you later when time permits.
Absolutely. And if you have any questions about an interest you have and if it would be explored in this program, please connect with our offices. We are currently in the middle of a webinar series exploring children's right to a healthy environment. So children's rights in relation to climate change and climate action. So what I can actually do, we have 2 sessions that have happened already. I'll include them in the follow-up to this webinar, and we have a 3rd planned for the future. So we'll keep everyone up to date for that as well. So if you're interested in getting a taste of what the type of learning and conversations we have in the program, you can always join us for that session as well. So with that, Kathleen, was there anything else you'd like to share before we close for today?
No, I will stop interrupting you, Selena, but that's been great. Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us.
And thanks so much, Kathleen. We wish everyone a wonderful rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening, depending when and where you're watching this and the recording as well. We hope to chat again with you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.